Yes, good afternoon, guys. How are you where you are? No, we are doing well here. We are too. We are under lockdown, like all of you. You are wherever in the world. I'm sure everyone is now under this lockdown. So we thought of reaching out to you, and we have got about two or three items, very interesting. We are not going to waste much time. My name is Stuart, and this is Innocent. He's gonna introduce himself, and we are going to be your host for the next few minutes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Stuart Msarabasi. I think you know me very well. I'm Innocent Madanire, and I'm in the medical field, a little bit well-versed, well-schooled with some concepts which pertains health and a bit of, political perspective, quite global and local political perspectives. I'm so happy to be with you today, this afternoon, as we are looking forward to bring ourselves into, analyzing what is happening in our current, events and, future events as well. We are trying to put everything under the tight scrutiny of our own binoculars. We want to put everything in a blender and try to disintegrate it. We know that things which are happening at macro level, they need to be broken down so that we understand them, to zoom them properly, so that we can have our own understanding as single units. So things happen at a macro level, so we have to narrow them down, to funnel them down to self, to family, to nations, how the global pandemic, how the global economics is going to affect a singular unit, how the global fall is going to affect a family in Zimbabwe, a family in Chiendambuya, a family in Cholocho, an individual who is selling an avocado at Mbari. So our main narrative today is to bring a tight scrutiny over this thing. We want to shed light and we want to hear your views. Thank you so much, viewers. Let's go with this together. Thank you.
Okay, so maybe we are going to also, first of all, touch on the judgment which happened yesterday in Zimbabwe. Also, we are also going to touch a bit of health issues, the pandemic, what are the effects during this lockdown, and maybe post period of the lockdown, with the assumption that it's not going to bring a lot of mishaps and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure maybe we are going to first of all touch this judgment which happened yesterday.
That's true.
I don't know if you have got certain few things which you might wish me to touch on that.
Actually, Mr. Stewart, everybody was caught by surprise to see, members or partners of our own nation coming out and to declare such, an unhealthy, maybe to some it's a health event, but to many people it seems to be unhealthy. It was so unpredictable and it looked premeditated. Many people didn't understand or never thought that in this lockdown somebody will come out with a result or with an order like that. The judgment was very, very, it caught us by a big surprise. What's your comment on this issue, Mr. Msarapas?
Considering the government directives and the instruction, they had given an instruction that only on urgent matters, the ones which are going to be held or take place or okay. Not so sure from the court's point of view. Maybe we might not have jurisdiction to comment on the narrative when it comes to agents or something like that. But considering that the nation is under lockdown, whereby most of the activities we presume or assume that they would then take motion after the lockdown, no one was expecting that judgment to then be held and then take place yesterday. It was outside a lot of people's scope. It was not expected. But this is politics at times, because that case on its own, it was a political case. whereby politicians, they don't think of the masses at times. Because if you check this issue on its own, it was all about, positions, control, authority, who is the leader, who is the president, something like that.
I get it.
So I'm reserved to, I might be economic to my words. I can say personally, I wasn't, I didn't feel comfortable to then hear that judgment was done yesterday. But there were a lot of school of thought, because a lot of people, they were saying the judgment might have been known for a longer time.
I get it.
Because remember, around January, around December, people were moving around in the streets.
We had a lot of time. Yeah.
People were saying the judgment is known and something like that.
I get you.
And so, because the judgment was known, I'm sure whosoever who is in point of authority, maybe in the judiciary,
yes,
or whosoever in this, the way things are happening, these people, they saw it fit to then make it take place yesterday.
That's true.
It was to their convenience, because they knew that the majority of the nation, the masses, they were not expecting, or they didn't like the outcome. Hence, they had to make it. It was convenient to them, because, handling it whilst people are in their homes. No one will strike, no one will demonstrate. So it was convenient to them. But now, I have a lot of reservations when it comes to the speech which was read by, is Comich? What is
Morgan Comich?
It's called Morgan Comich, that guy.
Yeah.
I'm sure that guy lost some time in their last Congress, in the Alliance. The guy lost.
Yes.
So the guy had a 4 or 5 page speech, which he read just after the announcement of the judgment.
Actually, let me just hold you for a second. It really showed up that everything which was said yesterday was premeditated, and everything was cooked. It was microwaved maybe months before this event took place, and these people or partners who were on the playfield were just waiting for a conducive environment to announce this verdict. Look now, the situation which we are having is a lot of Zimbabweans are boiling in houses out of the cause of the coronavirus lockdown, and secondly, the judgment which was given. I don't see ourselves coming out of this trap very early. 21 days now, they are looking like a year or 21 years, because many people are boiling enough to know what's next, and people are reactive to this issue. How best can a normal individual sustain himself out of the 21 days, out of, looking on the perspective of having limited resources and also facing pressure from our political, players in the field? Can you give us an analogy over that?
There's nothing an ordinary man can do, considering the variables in our economy right now. We've got a lot of push factors. We've got a lot of factors which are disadvantaging the already suffering individual in the street. The unemployment rate is 95%, and people were surviving from hand to mouth, day to day, going with their some vendors, some were into these manual jobs. People, they don't have formal jobs. So the jobs which are on left is in the informal sector, whereby people who try to wake up on daily basis. There is no Sunday, there's no weekend, there's no midweek to our people back home in Zimbabwe. So when they are locked down 21 days, in Zimbabwe, there is no any other alternative. Those people, if they didn't stock their food supplies in their homes, we are talking a situation whereby some of them, they'll be just going for some days drinking water. If water is there, because we also don't have water.
Brother, I remember this situation when it was in 2008. I was living in the village in the rural area. I remember we resorted to eat fruits, you understand?
Yeah.
And some of these fruits, we dried them. But look at the situation. Yesterday I was looking in Bari. We had people who were from Mutare, some from Nyanga, some from Chimanimani. They had avocados and some fruits, some guavas. And they were shouting out, wailing, crying to the government that how best can they survive. And most of these people, they don't have even $1 to go back to Nyanga from Harare. And look, our political system currently and the arena, the political field is actually unhealthy, is very toxic. And how best can, individual citizens of Zimbabwe partake or partner in the sanitization of this political system? Actually, in brief, I can say that African politics is toxic currently. We have people who are hijacking the interest or downgrading the interest of the citizens. And how should a citizen maneuver or try to partner in the work of sanitization of this politics and economics?
Yeah, that's political economics which we are talking about right now. But I don't know, it might work to other countries, might be other political setups like in South Africa and other maybe better or strong economies. In Zimbabwe, as we speak, unless a miracle happens, we don't have much alternatives. We don't have much options on how someone can maneuver or something like that. Because without taking sides, but I'm sure it's a reasonable statement whereby when these political guys will say Zimbabwe needs a political solution. Because politics and economics, you cannot, they are separate with a thin line. These things, they are more like twins. So we become better as a country when we solve our political environment is solved. Then the challenge which we are having as we speak right now, maybe these two major political parties, the leadership of these two major political parties in our country, they don't see each other.
I get it.
They are big-headed. It's more like all of them, they are in two different mountains, and for them to compromise and meet halfway, I'm sure it will be after this generation. When all these guys who are at school, preschool, grade 1, when they are almost all of them when they are.
Well, let me just hold you for a second. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. There's a narrative which says that an eye for an eye has led our nations to have blind people, and we remain with only one person with eyes open. An eye for an eye has led to our nations to have blind people, and we remain with a single individual with both eyes. How best can we treat global politics and global economics? Look what is happening from Cape to Cairo, and look what is happening in the United States of America, even to United Kingdom. The government is trying to stimulate the market or the economics by pouring funds, but at the same time raising the national debt and affecting the livelihood, the standards of living of their citizens. Brother Msarapasi, looking on economics, how best can a single individual who is locked down in Zimbabwe try to maneuver to sustain their family in a lockdown like this?
Our economy was, or our economy is only a bit flexible to those who are in the informal sector. Those people who are in buying and selling, and people who are in vending, all the informal sector, that is the only sector which is trying to strive. Not doing well, but just trying to strive, because production capacity, I'm sure our country is operating below 30% or 20% when we are talking of the formal industry. So what are we saying? We're saying this informal sector, like I mentioned before, it operates on daily basis, and then they are locked down. So we technically or practically, we don't. There's nothing they can do. There's no production right now. People are staying home. So what is the alternative? What can they do? It's nothing. Nothing they can do. As of this 21 days, there's nothing. You can't buy, because they hoard and then they resell. They buy and resell. Where they're going to buy all the shops, the small industries which are operating, they are closed. There's nothing. There's no business.
Thank you, viewers. This live broadcast serves to notify you again about the coronavirus, COVID-19, you know, the infectious disease which is rapidly moving across the globe, destroying families and killing individuals. It is non-selective, it is non-gender selective. It chooses and picks killing everybody across the globe. And our advice today is coming to you so that you learn more about the pathology, about the epidemiology, and the treatment measures which we can use to keep this infection. In this broadcast, we are also keen and eager to notify you that wherever you are, practice social distancing. Not just social distancing, but cover yourself, mask yourself completely with proper gloves and proper masks. We have been talking about masks the past week, where we subdivided the masks into two categories. The first kind is called the N95 class, and the second one is called the surgical mask. When we are having the N95 kind of mask, we are talking about a kind of mask which prevents or filter air to enter into your nose or your system. So this kind of mask, which is called the N95, should be utilized by a healthy individual, somebody who has no coronavirus. I believe that everybody who is watching me today is healthy. So when you're buying or ordering your mask, say I need an N95 kind of mask. But say that you are infected, choose the surgical mask. And today, this afternoon, we are advocating for you all individuals to stay safe and stay dry. On top of that, you have also to know that you are the ambassador of change, and you have to communicate to your neighbor, to those who are watching us from South Africa, to those who are watching us from Chiendambuya, from Cholocho, from Binga, from Tande. This is an opportunity for you to learn that life is precious and you have to stay indoors. And when you are communicating, communicate at a social level where you communicate with your relatives. And every time when you meet people, be masked and be covered. Mr. Nsarapras, what can you say, just covering up or wrapping up this conversation today to our viewers?
Okay, thank you very much, our viewers. It has been good. We were checking some guys who are joining us. Remember, it's just our first day of trying to engage to you. We are trying by our best to then make it maybe on a daily basis. Expect a lot of exciting and very interesting topics ahead. We also have our other activities which will be happening in other social platforms. We cannot preempt everything today, but we also just wish and pray that events happening in our country will soon be answered by God. We still need the end of God. When you see your leaders in a country, when they are not in talking terms, they are failing to sit down and agree, and they spend more time in courts to, fight for positions. You can see that at some other time before this program, we talked about some of the parties which were in the courts. They've got what is called vacuum power. They just want power, but they don't have the people. So we will be having a very poisonous, a toxic, a dangerous situation whereby you just want power, but you don't have people.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, the one who have got maybe power, maybe is being said, maybe is not having the lawful power. So why can't you guys sit down and you agree, you arrange?
Well, let us greet our viewers. Shout out to Mr. Obed, to Mr. Tombo, Mr. Batsi, Khan, Munashe, Patience, Junior, Haida, Paida Moyo, Oma, and evermore. We greet you actually from this place, and our main intention is to give or else to share information in regard with the world economics, world health, as well as some categories like employment, unemployment, and also how best people can survive these conditions. May God bless you so much. We are happy to be with you. We are happy to have you on this platform, and we are looking forward to have you again. Thank you. Can you greet our viewers as we are leaving the broadcast?
Thank you, guys. There are a lot of people whom I'm seeing there, Obed and Batsrai, Munashe, and evermore. They joined us, and some of the names I can struggle to call them. Patience. We also have Tombo. We also have Haida, Omar. You're a lot, guys. Thank you so much. we'll try to try by our best to make you, have a catch up of the world affairs. What is happening economically.
Sure.
We also have my partner here is into health. He also going to give us the updated picture of what is happening. If we manage to find the vaccine, there are some people who are saying the vaccine which is being talked about has got some side effects
again,
something like that. So we'll be having a lot of
exactly.
We are going to enjoy. We are going to have a bite of cherry with the coming days. We are also going to talk about one of our platforms, our social platforms. We cannot preempt it today.
Yeah, but, later on
I'm
we
sure
will talk about it.
2 or 3 days to come, we are going to make everything known. We are still coming up, but we are going to try to make this platform a most exciting.
That's it. To you all guys, to some I can say that God bless you, and to some I can say inshallah, inshallah. To my folks, to my friends in this live broadcasting, God bless you, and we'll meet again. Thank you so much, guys. Have a blessed day. Thank you.